Clearly the economic situation in Europe remains very serious. In fact, in some respects it's even got worse since we last spoke. From your vantage point in the Commission, how do you see ESF contributing to the recovery?
The ESF is a very important instrument at European level, but it is a very small fund compared to the level of problems and the challenges that Europe is facing. So the ESF can contribute but cannot be the solution in itself. This said, we have actually already given quite a number of not only signals but concrete steps towards supporting member states in their management of the crisis. We have advanced payments so that there would be no shortage of cash in the systems dealing with the support for the labour market organisation and education and training systems in the member states. It's very important that actions do not stop just because the liquidity runs out, and we have tried through advance payments to help member states tackle that particular situation. There has been a number of member states proposing to change their operational programs to move certain types of expenditure which were more in demand now than before the crisis, and we have said very clearly, and we've actually acted in a way to facilitate changes of programs in this sense. We've also changed the rules concerning what happens to money which is spent late or not precisely as foreseen in the program. Normally such money were subject to a very draconian measure if not spent after 2 years or 3 years, as the case may be. The commitment was simply cut and the unspent credits were completely annulled. This has now been relaxed a little bit to allow member states precisely to spend money under these very difficult circumstances. And there are other activities that have been undertaken as well, redefining of objectives, refining of the precise way in which the financial composition of the program is set up. All of that we have contributed to. So I believe that the ESF has done what certainly was expected and could be done, and I think it was right to do so. In the longer run, we need to focus not only on skills and people's possibilities of undertaking new jobs, but job creation, of course, remains the key to increased employment, because if the jobs are not there, it doesn't really matter how skilled your workforce is, there's still nothing for it to do. So job creation is important, and that has to be supported as well through other structural and other policies of the European Union. And I think that the initiatives taken to complete the internal market, to define an industrial policy, a research and development and innovation policy, and other similar initiatives, much will contribute to the creation of jobs in Europe.
Could you share with us any examples that you've seen of how ESF has been used elsewhere in Europe that we might still learn from here in England?
Yes. Again, you have to remember that the starting point and the situation in which the ESF operates differs considerably from one member state to the other, including for reasons which are very local or regional, national, of tradition, of the way normally things are done in each of the member states. And believe you me, they all have their peculiarities when it comes to the labour market. But there are some very good examples. If you look at what has happened in the automobile industry, which has suffered enormous setbacks throughout Europe and throughout the different automobile producers, much has been done in terms of distributing available work through working shorter periods than normally, or working in shifts so that the shortfall of work is spread over several people. That creates needs for some people for us to adjust or adapt the type of training offer that we give to them so that it will fit with their new working patterns. This has been done in several places in continental Europe, sorry. I believe it's also been done in the UK. And the European Social Fund has been able to support, for example, activities for workers who have not lost their job, who are in employment, and who would normally perhaps not have access to particular training and retraining offers. So in this way, the ESF has been able to support the new situation, or the people who find themselves in new circumstances because of the crisis measures taken in their industry. There are several examples of this type, from textiles to automobiles, but also to very advanced companies working in telecommunications, mobile phones, etc. These are not companies that are technologically at the wrong end of the spectrum, so to speak, but even there are adjustments, there are needs that have been expressed because of the crisis, which didn't exist before. And we have participated with member states in developing activities for people who find themselves in these kinds of situations. So there are many examples, but also very basic examples. A lot of people who have been in more traditional industries like construction or industries which are either handicraft related or very basic industries find themselves perhaps for the first time in their lives without a job. They've never had any experience in searching for jobs. They have no interview experience. They don't know how to put together a CV. And for people like that, the situation is also new. We don't have to invent new solutions because we have actually dealt with this kind of problem before. So it's possible to, through the operational programs, offer opportunities to people like in those circumstances as well. It's possible to learn from one's own experience, but certainly also from the experience of others.
Today's conference here in Birmingham is about celebrating what ESF has achieved in England over the last few years, but it's also very much about looking forward to the next period. You're doing one of the keynote speeches this morning. What's the main message you're bringing from the Commission to the ESF community in England?
Well, I think there are essentially three messages to bring across. First of all, that the UK programs are running very well. We are impressed with the management and the achievement of the program. We think that the UK programs are among the best performing in Europe, and we're very happy that that is the case. Secondly, we believe that the priorities that were established when we did the programming effort now several years ago have proven to be the right priorities because the need for major changes has simply not emerged, even if the conditions have changed considerably. And that shows that the overall thrust of the program, specifically looking at disadvantaged groups, looking very much at the possibilities offered by precisely defined training and retraining offers, that was the correct strategy to choose for the UK. So these are the two main messages. It's working well, and we got it right, basically. More needs to be done, of course. We're already now starting the 2020 period, so to speak. When the programs are over for the current programming period, we will already have been spending almost a third of the period from now till 2020. So the programs now have to have in mind that the focus is on the 2020 objectives, and that actually follows very well in the line of reasoning that was behind the programming already in place, and that will have to be reinforced in the new programming period. And that, of course, opens the whole Pandora's box of what would be possible, what would be the amount of co-financing that Europe can offer, what would be the coverage in terms of geography or specific groups. It's too early to say. In the conference this morning, I am going to say a little bit about the wishes of the Commission in terms of cohesion policy in general, its overall coverage of the European Union, the possibility of making the employment guidelines the focus for the European employment strategy as supported by the European Social Fund will be underlined. But I will also underline that as we speak right now, in this very moment in time, it simply is not possible to pinpoint what will be the specific either budget or budget possibilities or the specific combination of policies in the new programming period. But if we have a further interview, say 6 to 9 months from now, the budget will be known in its draft form. The initial reactions from member states will be known, and they will be very precise and probably quite critical of the Commission's proposal. But that will be a possibility to take this discussion a little bit further and explain to your audience exactly where we're going with cohesion policies in the Europe 2020 strategy.
Last time we spoke, I asked you what the grounds were for optimism going forward. How's your view changed over the last 6 months, for better or for worse?
Well, I thought it was very encouraging to see the very firm endorsement of the European Council of the strategy. I mean, things could have gone wrong in the sense that no overall objectives could have been established. But the Council was extremely clear. The guidelines have been laid down in no uncertain terms, and the degree of ownership of the process is much, much higher than was the case in previous attempts to establish a long-term strategy. So for these reasons, we have, I think, a good starting point for the work that now has to be done. Times are difficult, but we have a European answer that I think will provide some ground for optimism, not only now, but also in the future.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Look forward to talking to you once the budget proposals have been firmed up somewhat, and then we can perhaps go into a bit more depth about exactly what ESF is going to look like.
I'd be happy to oblige.
Thank you very much.